Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is Marcus Rosa, aka Mazuma TV, back at y'all with some more boxing talk, man. I hope everybody's having a blessed, beautiful, positive, productive night. Hope you had a great day overall, man. I'm back at y'all with some more boxing talk. We're gonna talk about Conor Benn, his victory over Chris Eubank Jr. in the rematch, and him returning to 147 pounds, and who his next opponent may possibly be in the division, who he called out. All of that good stuff, man. We're gonna talk about Keyshawn Davis coming up out of the woodworks to discuss getting a Nahir Albright rematch on the Shakur Stevenson and Teofimo Lopez undercard. Then we're gonna talk about a possibly soon update over on Jake Paul's side on who he may choose as an opponent for December. Then, of course, we're gonna get into some open boxing topics. You feel what I'm saying? Shout out to everybody that's in the building thus far. If I could go ahead and hit the like button on the way in, that'd be very much appreciated. We on the road to 4K. We well into the 3,200 mark. About to hit that 3,300 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. What's going on? What's going on? Just wanted to let y'all know, man, if y'all didn't see the post already, I'm going to be having Bruce Shushu Carrington on the live Tuesday afternoon, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's just chop it up, talk about this boxing, and get this show on the road. You know what I mean? We're going to be talking about, his background, how he came up in the amateurs, his previous fights. You know what I'm saying? Him being a WBC interim champion at featherweight. Would that be? Featherweight. Then, of course, we're going to be speaking about, what's next for him and all that good stuff, man. That's going to be a good interview. I've been taking a good portion of the day today, just coming up with different questions, doing research and stuff like that. So I really hope that you guys enjoy, that interview that's coming up, man. I hope you guys are in the building. Then, of course, if y'all send the super chats, whatever the case is, or if y'all part of the nation, we're going to go ahead and, address your questions for Shushu to answer. You know what I'm saying? Justin Jackson said the oldest prospect ever. Salute. Hope he get a big fight. Why would you say that, Justin? That was petty because, first of all, he's 28 years old. And he's not a prospect. He's a contender. He has a WBC interim. Andy Cruz, 30 years old. Why you not calling him the oldest prospect ever? Something to think about, brother. You got to do a little bit of research before you be saying stuff like that. Shout out to everybody that's in the building. My boy Justin Jackson. Agent 86, what up? King of Brooklyn, what up? I see Donald Bakes in the building. How you feeling, brother? What's going on? What's going on? Bethanuel, talk to me. How we feeling, man? Justin, you asked me if I'm watching the Eagles game. No, I'm not, but I do got the scoreboard on my phone. You know what I'm saying? So I'm keeping track. I'm keeping track, man. I was watching a little bit of it. It just seemed like it's another defensive game like the last Eagles game was. They having trouble getting off offensively, but their defense is holding them up. Eagles got to find a way to, be more, smoother with their offense. You know what I'm saying? Because their defense can't be holding them up forever, man. They've been coming in clutch, like in the Super Bowl, shutting down Patrick Mahomes and all that. Even in that last game that they had, where it was a very low scoring game, but their defense kept them afloat. They may be a day where, our offense is able to neutralize their defense. Then what? You know what I'm saying? Then it's like we're going to be hopeless for real. I don't really want the Eagles to be in that situation. So they definitely got to find a way to start clicking off offensively as much as they do defensively. Once they do that, they could definitely take things far. But what do I know? I'm not the biggest football expert. I'm an expert in the sport of boxing, so we about to follow on with this talk. You feel what I'm saying? Marlon 2631, what up? What up? What's going on? What's going on? Let's see. Hold on, y'all. What's going on? 88 Sports Talk. What up, brother? What's going on? What's going on? How we feeling? So let's go ahead and get into this conversation, man, because, this is something that I definitely want to get up out of the way, man. I got to get up early and attend to some things. You feel what I'm saying? We got a lot going on, a lot of good things, a lot not so good things. You feel what I'm saying? But we got to get through it regardless. You know what I mean? That's what men do out here in these streets. You feel me? So let's get into it, man. So one of the biggest topics that have been covered in the sport of boxing, within the last few days, obviously will be Conor Benn securing a victory in a rematch over Chris Eubank Jr. You know what I'm saying? Able to avenge the first loss of his career last night, man. He looked absolutely sharp. Fast hands, good combinations. You know what I mean? Wasn't really as tapped in emotionally as he has been in, previous fights. And, I get it when you young and inexperienced like Conor Benn, man, and you've been emotional in so many fights and you've just been, doing the same things and they tend to work over and over and over again. You think that that's the winning recipe. He stepped up a little bit in competition against Chris Eubank Jr., who did have the size advantage, and had the experience advantage. He was able to show, Conor that it's more to the game than just, winging big punches and, throwing everything with all your might and just reacting so emotionally to situations. So Conor Benn had to take that loss on the chin, go back, reflect on, his loss. He said he watched the fight, one or two times or whatever, seen what he had to do. Terrence Crawford gave him some information, gave him some advice like, yo, man, you just got to get your conditioning up. You know what I mean? You was getting tired, so like really push your conditioning. So, he's getting gems here. You know what I mean? He's learning from his own mistakes, and you could tell he was able to make a complete 180 in his approach. You know what I mean? Just being more composed. You know what I mean? Letting the offense come to him. And, when he was throwing all those big punches in the first fight, he really wasn't making any drastic changes offensively I've seen him rock Chris Eubank a couple times in the first fight, but he wasn't able to get the job done. This time around, he was nice and composed, shot a good jab, good body shots. I thought he was a bit predictable with his offense, in my opinion. Uh, I thought he could have variated a bit more. I think he could have used more feints, maybe even use his jab a bit more. But that's because, since Conor Benn hasn't really been in high-level fights or like that, it's hard to really expect him to have a high IQ. You know what I'm saying? Or I don't recall Conor Benn really having the deepest amateur pedigree neither. So, he probably is just a product of nepotism at the end of the day because he comes from the son of a UK legend or whatever you want to call him, a boxing legend. He was able to, skip past some things that the average fighter wouldn't, he was able to skip past things that, fighters who don't have that privilege, they're not able to, just skip around those type of opportunities. They got to experience things. You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's just Conor Benn having a lack of experience, a lack of IQ because he hasn't been in those type situations. But regardless, he did what he had to do in order to win. You know what I'm saying? Chris Eubank did look a bit slow to me. His timing looked a bit off. I think that damage that he took in that first fight definitely carried over to the second fight. He just looked a bit older, a bit slower. Punch resistance didn't really look like it was, there how it was in previous fights. So, you know what I'm saying? It was a tough situation for Chris Eubank all around the board. And I even said after the first fight, man, I was like, bro, you should just ride off into the sunset with your victory. You know what I mean? You made plenty of money. But I guess Chris Eubank, man, I guess what his father has said in previous times where he was like, yo, like my son loves, he loves the lifestyle. He loves the flashy shit, blah, blah, blah. So just based off of that, maybe, he took the money because he's seen, you know what I mean? He's seen the right amount on the check and was like, fuck it, let's do it again. And, it cost him. It cost him. You know what I'm saying? Definitely cost him. So, Conor Benn, since making his, since being able to get his get back against Chris Eubank Jr., he did say that he's not following through with the trilogy. That's something that he doesn't want to do no longer. He's okay with things just being 1-1. And he's looking to go back down to 147 pounds and grab a world title. Now, who has Conor Benn had called out? From what I first heard, he was talking about all them Yanks could get it. And for those of y'all who don't know what Yanks are, Yankees, Americans. You see what I'm saying? So, of course, he's talking about guys at 147 that happen to be American fighters, and I guess some of them would have to be, for one, Devin Haney. You know what I mean? Devin Haney may be possibly one of those guys because I think even Conor Benn mentioned him in the post-fight interview. Brian Norman Jr., who's a WBO welterweight champion of the world. So I'm assuming he's, open to facing the winner of Brian Norman and Devin Haney because they're going to be fighting each other this weekend coming up. He called out Rolly Romero, who's a WBA champion at the welterweight division. I think he even went as far as to call out Crocker. I don't know if that was Eddie Hearn. It was definitely one of them. And in my honest opinion, I think that's the direction that he's going to go. I think that he's going to go down that Crocker route for the IBF title. And I think that would be a bit tough for him because Bella Faith says Barrios and Junior says Barrios as well. And, I'm inclined to agree with both of y'all because I've heard him call out Barrios in the past. But Barrios is caught up with a possible fight with Ryan Garcia. You know what I mean? So maybe the winner of Ryan Garcia and Mario Barrios sees, Conor Benn. That would be a massive fight. A massive fight. You know what I'm saying? That might be something that they'll be intrigued in making happen. That could definitely get some things going. And, I seen Eddie Hearn go as far as to kiss Conor Benn on the top of his head. That boy was so happy that Conor Benn sealed that victory over Chris Eubank. You know why? Because that fight confirmed that Eddie Hearn has another UK money man to run to. You know what I'm saying? He has another. He was able to find Anthony Joshua's replacement, man. You know what I'm saying? Because if he'd have lost back-to-back, it would have been tough for, Conor Benn to, get back in the mix and become a huge name in the sport. You know what I'm saying? But with him getting that victory over Chris Eubank, in the weight class he didn't belong in, all right, he back on road. And now he's going to go to 147, grab a world title. If he's able to grab that world title, you better believe they're going to hold that shit hostage in the UK. Whatever version of the title he gets, whether it's the WBC, whether it's the WBA, IBF, even if he somehow, some way gets his hands on the WBO, you better believe that if you want to get that title, you're going to have to go to the UK in order to get it. That man just sold out at, what's that, the Nottingham Stadium or whatever the hell they call it out in the UK, sold that thing out twice. Eddie Hearn ain't about to fuck that money up. He gonna keep rinsing and repeating. And that's what hustlers do. If they see that something works, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, especially in the UK. If you could sell 70,000, you know what I'm saying? If you could sell that many tickets each time you step into the ring, keep doing it. You see what I'm saying? So that's what Eddie Hearn got them doing. The Tottenham Stadium. Shout out to Pagat Petit for correcting me, brother. I appreciate that. But I think they said like 70K both times or some crazy shit like that. Probably the number was even bigger. Regardless. Huge, cash cow. Conor Benn's about to be in the UK. That's what Eddie Hearn's been looking for this whole time, and shit, he found it. How much you think Benn made in the two fights? I have no idea. Definitely 8 figures each from what I've heard. I'm sure that could be looked up. I don't know though. So the total okay. Let me see. So the total purse was 18 million euros, right? Split 60-40 in Chris Eubank Jr.'s favor. Eubank Jr. was set to earn 10 million, while Benn was set to earn 8 million. And they made that twice. That happened both times. Both fighters will likely earn additional money from sponsorships and endorsements, potentially bringing Chris Eubank's total around 12.5 and Benn's around 9.5. So, and this is based off of the Mirror. This is a website called the Mirror, right? So, they're saying that it's identical to the first fight. So, if he made, Conor Benn, I guess, made 16 million. Off of the purses, but off of endorsements, he probably walked away with 20 million euros. 20 plus, which is great money, man, because you got to take into consideration, this ain't no title fight. These ain't elite level, middleweights, super middleweights, whatever you want to call them. These guys ain't elite at all, in any division that they're in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? he might, Ben might be elite because considering the 140, the state of 147 right now. But when the real 147s was around, Conor Benn wasn't mentioned amongst the elite over there neither. You know what I'm saying? 147 is a little bit shallow. You know what I'm saying? You got a Norman here, you got a Devin Haney here, but for the most part, the division really lacks depth in terms of great champions or great fighters. This ain't the 147 that had Keith Thurman, Ugas, Arrow, Crawford, Pacquiao. Like, no, this ain't that division no more. You feel what I'm saying? Danny Garcia, all them, totally different. Let me see. Hold on, y'all. You know. Oh, okay. I see the Eagles got up to 16. These motherfuckers winning off of field goals right now. Shout out to Jake Elliott. But this fight was a 60-40 split in favor of Eubank. Yeah, but I just said that in the research I just did. They said that both fights were identical in terms of the fight persons and the splits and shit like that. So yeah, Eubank Jr. definitely walked away with about 25 between 20 to 25 million. Conor Benn probably walked away with like 20. Good job. Not bad, bro. That's not bad. They making, and that's a so this goes back to my previous points when they said, "Oh, you can't eat off a legacy. Oh, you can't eat off a legacy." Well, how about that? Neither one of the Eubank Jr. not a world champion. Conor Benn not a world champion. Neither one of them are elite level guys, in my opinion. These ain't pound for pound level fighters whatsoever. Neither one of them have even been, champions in a major sanctioning body. You know what I'm saying? And they were able to make 8 figures. But you let, haters like Floyd tell you, or, motherfuckers that don't know what they talking about, you can't, my kids can't eat off legacy. Why not? Why not? These motherfuckers just became multi-millionaires, set their families up for the next few generations just off of their dad's last name, just based off of what their fathers accomplished in the sport. Let's keep it real. If Conor's name was Connor Quigley and fucking and Chris Harris over here, nobody would be talking about this fight. Nobody would be talking about this fight. So I just wanted to put that out there, man. So Conor Benn, what do I think he does? I think he goes down to 147 and possibly fights for the IBF. The only reason why I'm a bit skeptical about the IBF is the 10-pound rehydration clause, and considering the fact that Conor Benn is going to be moving down 2 divisions, that could be tough. You know what I mean? That could be tough to go down 2 divisions when you haven't fought at 47 for years and then had to deal with a 10-pound rehydration clause on top of that. That's the only thing that's stopping me from thinking that Conor Benn will take that fight, in his day, in his return to 147 pounds. I'm a bit skeptical about that. If he does that, that'll be, that could possibly pose some problems for him. You know what I mean? But I think he's just going to be looking for the people. I think he'll try to really shoot for that Rolly Romero fight. You know what I mean? Or even Barrios. If he's able to get the Barrios fight, then now Conor Benn is in a real situation where he could, fight for a world title. Unless Ryan Garcia gets it, then it'll be Ryan Garcia versus Conor Benn, which is still an intriguing fight. You know what I mean? You got 2 drug cheats. You know what I'm saying? Going up against each other. I won't be rooting for neither one of them, but it is what it is. My boy Yasir Ali he just asked the perfect question. He just asked the perfect question because that's exactly what we were going to segue into. Let me go ahead and pull up Keyshawn Davis's tweet because I didn't say this. The people didn't say this. Keyshawn said it his own self. Let me see. Oh, wow. Somebody getting exposed. Somebody by the name of Troy Williamson. Troy Williamson was sparring. He sparred Chris Eubank Jr. with Bomac and them, and then he went over to Conor Benn's camp. Oh, wow. So somebody by the name of Troy Williamson, somebody by the name of James. Who's James Becker? I don't know who James Becker is, but that's somebody from the UK. And I'm assuming he's a boxer fan. I don't know if he's a coach, whatever the case is. But he put out a tweet and said, Troy Williamson. Let me go ahead and share this real quick. This is pretty interesting. Let me go ahead and share this. This will just be a quick little thing to share. Somebody by the name of James Becker, 1999, says Troy Williamson is a snake. 10 days after sparring with Eubank, he ran to Conor Benn camp and told him everything that was happening. Unbelievable rot. Oh, wow. So that's the pick. I guess that's Troy Williamson right next to Chris Eubank. Then when you look over, boom, you got, Troy Williamson over with Conor Benn in his camp. So that's definitely weird. I ain't even gonna lie. I don't like that snake shit, bro. That's definitely weird. I don't understand why people do that, man. It's like you burning bridges, first of all. First of all, you look like a chatty patty. You want some shit. That type of shit amongst men is not respectable. You know what I'm saying? That's super weird. And like them rats them moles in the camp, that shit be real, bro. That shit really be real. Motherfuckers be coming in with wires, like confidential informants, and really be giving motherfuckers the rundown on what's going on in camp. And for all we know, probably Conor Benn sent him over there. Conor Benn is a scary motherfucker, man. I'm telling you. Conor Benn is a scary motherfucker. That's why he got caught taking PEDs in the first place, because he was always a bit concerned about Chris Eubank. You know what I mean? And what he went through with Chris Eubank, he didn't want to go through again. He didn't want to, take back-to-back losses. That's why they ran that rehydration clause on him again. That's why they, could have possibly sent this dude Troy Williamson over there to get some information. Super weird. You know what I mean? And we need to stop recording sparring sessions. I need fighters, and I heard Andre Ward say this, and I agree with him 1,000%. Sparring partners need to start signing NDAs. Yeah, Bella Faith, exactly. Andre Ward put out this tweet not too long ago. Sparring partners need to sign NDAs, bro. Y'all be talking too much. Y'all be exposing too much. And the shit that y'all be putting out there, it don't be y'all business to tell. It don't be y'all business to tell, bro. Like, y'all motherfuckers need to start getting sued, bro. Like, seriously, like, everybody was clowning Devin Haney for suing niggas and all that, but you like, this is a real serious business where motherfuckers could get hurt, and there's things that may be going on in camp that could really hurt their chances of winning if it gets exposed publicly. Why are you out here telling the other men's business? That's super weird. Sparring partners need to sign NDAs, man. NDAs are easy to find. That's some shit that you could print out online. I'm sure ChatGPT could write up an NDA for y'all. Y'all go ahead, print them Johns out, make these sparring partners sign this shit, bro. Because at this point, like, all we hearing is about, like, we as boxing fans shouldn't be knowing what be going on in these dudes' training camps. Like, I'm serious, bro. Like, there's no way that I should know that, Shakur Stevenson hit somebody with a body shot and he fell over holding his hand. And, there's no way that I should know that Bakoli knocking Usyk out in sparring. And there's no way that I should know that Errol Spence knocked out Adrian Broner in sparring. Like, these things are things that I should not know. I should not know. I should have not known about the Errol Spencer Floyd Mayweather situation. What happens in sparring stays in sparring. What happens in the gym stays in the gym. Nowadays, it's like everybody want to be a chatty patty. Everybody want to be, say shit for clicks and attention. And it's like, bro, I get it. You got your own professional career. You want to try to make your name some way, somehow, because you're trying to get to the money like everybody else. I get it, but what's really going to take you to that next level? Putting in the fucking work and showing up when you need to show up. Not being a chatty patty about other niggas. All that shit is going to lead to y'all doing is not being shit in boxing and then starting your own podcast so y'all can talk about other niggas, because that's what y'all doing anyway. Y'all niggas that be snitching about what be going on in the gym and be talking about what be like that. Bro, I got an insight on how the way Boots was looking in the lead up to the Weizma Lima fight. Did I give y'all details? Did I tell y'all what happened? Did I tell y'all the workouts he did? Did I tell y'all that he had this problem and that? No. If anything, I put out positive things. I'm like, yo, bro, you look sharp. He sparred my guy. He looked sharp. You feel me? That's all that really need to be said. And even if he didn't look sharp, I still would have told y'all that. Because there's no reason to just be out here being a fucking chatty patty, bro. Shit's super weird, bro. So I don't know what the whole situation is with Troy Williamson. But if that's the case, like if this is true, what James Becker is saying, he's a fucking rat. He's a fucking rat. And he shouldn't be given any more sparring opportunities because he probably got paid for each one of these joints. And if that's the case, you need to go ahead and kick rocks, brother. I hope you don't never get an opportunity again. It's bad enough we got a drug cheat right next to you. Now you giving out information to the drug cheat. You's a fucking weirdo, cuz. But anyways, let me go ahead and pull up this tweet from Keyshawn Davis, y'all. My apologies for the intermission, the interruption, whatever you want to call it. Let's see what Keyshawn Davis has to say. For some reason, his name does not pop up like on Twitter as if he's like shadow banned or something. But anyways. Oh, wow. Did he delete it? Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. I got it right here. So this was posted 5 hours ago. This was posted 5 hours ago. Shout out to everybody that's in the chat. Y'all go ahead and hit the like button. This was 5 hours ago. This is Keyshawn Davis on his, Twitter account. He says, in a perfect world, me coming back January 31st on the Shakur Stevenson card in New York facing Nahir Albright. You see what I'm saying? So for those of y'all who don't know who Nahir Albright is, this is somebody that Keyshawn Davis has fought before. And it's one of the only fights that Keyshawn Davis was not able to get a victory in. Now, he did not lose to Nahir Albright. However, his fight was ruled a no contest due to failing a drug test for marijuana. That boy Keyshawn, you know what I mean? You can tell he got like the they got the smoker lips and shit. You know what I'm saying? So we should have known that nigga Keyshawn Davis was smoking a long time ago. But, he had a good victory. Initially it was a victory against Nahir Albright. Nahir Albright, in my opinion, had hurt him or at least stunned him, in the fight. But besides that, it was a dominant victory on Keyshawn Davis's behalf. It was ruled a no contest. And, they ended up, Marky, damn, what's going on, brother? They ended up having Keyshawn Davis's older brother face Nahir Albright, on a card that Keyshawn Davis was supposed to be on against Edwin De Los Santos, but he ultimately fumbled the bag. You know what I mean? Missed weight. Edwin De Los Santos' team wasn't having none of that shit, so Keyshawn Davis was unable to fight. And Nahir Albright absolutely dominated his older brother. It wasn't Keon. It was what was the other dude's? Calvin. He beat Calvin Davis. You know what I mean? Hurt him multiple times throughout the fight, or whatever the case is. He was able to seal the victory. Nahir Albright, he's trying to celebrate his victory. Mind you, they're in Virginia. So Nahir Albright came from Philadelphia to Virginia, beat the man in his hometown. Instead of congratulating him, Keyshawn Davis went in his locker room, acted an absolute fool. And ever since then, Keyshawn Davis has been on Top Rank shit list. So much so that Keyshawn Davis running around talking about how he retired. No, you're not retired, Keyshawn. What it is you're on the fucking shelf because you don't know how to act and you're making an absolute fool out of yourself. And more than anything, on Top Rank side, you fucking with their money. And promoters ain't in the business to be losing any fucking money. You feel what I'm saying? So you just need to say that and take accountability. Keyshawn took like a month and a half, maybe 2 months to go ahead and apologize to the people. It wasn't a heartfelt apology, in my opinion. I think he was just saying that just because, he was asked to. Or pretty much, they pretty much twisted his motherfucking hand to do so. So, I guess Keyshawn Davis, and this lets me know that he's not apologetic whatsoever. He's not apologetic for that situation that he had with Nahir Albright because, he's still bitter about Nahir Albright. He ate the fact that Nahir Albright beat somebody within the DB3. You feel me? And he wasn't able to clearly get a victory because he couldn't put the marijuana down. So, he wants that get back at Nahir Albright. I've seen Nahir Albright, put out there publicly that he accepts. So let's see if it happens. Is Top Rank going to give? This is the question more than anything because Nahir Albright will fight anybody. He just so happens to be cut that way. So he don't turn down no phase. This man Nahir Albright done fought. I remember he was supposed to fight like Josue Vargas or some shit. Josue Vargas pulled out. But if you look at Nahir Albright's resume, whether he's come up short or he's come out victorious, he's fought some credible guys. Like I said, he beat Calvin Davis, who was undefeated at the time. He faced Keyshawn Davis. He beat Carlos Balderas. He beat Estevan Falco. He went up against Jermaine Ortiz. You feel what I'm saying? I don't know if y'all know who Jeremy Hill was. My guy Steven Ortiz was able to take his undefeated record, another Philadelphia fighter. But Jeremy Hill, Nahir Albright beat him when he only had one loss. So Nahir Albright been out here looking for smoke. and getting shit done around here. You know what I mean? I think that Keyshawn Davis is extremely salty about Nahir. You know what I mean? He hate the fact that Nahir, got one up on DB3. He wasn't able to solidify the victory over him. So I see why he's actually looking for this fight. But the question more than anything is Top Rank going to let this motherfucker off the shelf? Are they going to let him fight? Are they going to be okay with him getting back in the mix, after all this silly shit that he had did in the lead up to that fight with Edwin De Los Santos? Because from what I heard, he was cursing people out like Timothy Bradley, and he was on like a crash out tour the whole time he was fighting with Edwin. It was pretty much just like a fuck you spree for everybody that happened to be involved, with the network at the time, ESPN, and the promoter with Top Rank. You know what I mean? He was going crazy. He was going crazy. So you causing all this hostility, all this drama in them, in them meeting rooms and all that shit. Then you want to go ahead and miss weight? You want to talk that shit and try to start a whole frenzy back and forth with Abdullah Mason, talking about, oh, we could fight next or whatever the case is. Then you end up missing weight and you talking about you going up to 140, so that Abdullah Mason shit was just talk. Then you go ahead and you start a whole melee backstage, and you got your kid in a motherfucking stroller and you acting a fool, acting like you about to crash out in front of your newborn child, your infant child, nigga. Like, Keyshawn's an absolute fool, man. And his stock has went down the drain since then. I think Top Rank understands that. So that's why they've been keeping him on the shelf, because, like, man, he really need to learn his lesson. He acting the fuck out. Agent 86 said 2025 crash out of the year goes out to Keyshawn. Shit, it just might. It just might. He really did. I might just make that. I should make that a category on Mazuma TV Awards, man. I might just make that a category. Crash out of the year. Absolutely. That's exactly what Keyshawn did. Very disappointing, because Keyshawn's a phenomenal talent, man. He just always seems to get ahead of himself or get involved in some things that he shouldn't be getting involved in, man. It's like he really lacks maturity. He makes very terrible, like, impulsive decisions that he doesn't necessarily need to make. You know what I'm saying? So, man, I don't know, man. He's saying January 31st on Shakur Stevens' undercard with T.O. If they're able to get that done, so be it. I would love to see Nahir Albright get the opportunity. But yeah, that's what Keyshawn Davis had put out there. You know what I mean? If Nahir gets it, I'll be rooting for Nahir Albright, but Keyshawn Davis is a tough opponent to go up against. I don't know if Nahir Albright ever beats Keyshawn Davis, but maybe Kelvin, but Keyshawn is a different story, a totally different monster. So we'll see. I don't know if Top Rank gonna let him off the shelf just yet, man. Maybe that time away, maybe, has Top Rank thinking like, all right, maybe Keyshawn learned his lesson. Let's put him back out there. It's a possibility. I don't know. We're gonna have to see. Tank a contender in the category too. On some real shit, Tank might have just took that spot. I completely forgot about Tank. How could I forget about Tank? Dumbass of the year and crash out of the year is the same thing. Because if you crash out when you had a clear opportunity to make some money, you was a dumbass to me. So I think they go hand in hand. And typically when you crash out, you look like a dumbass in the end. Right? Yeah, man. I had people telling me that Tank could have made $178 million with sponsorships, tickets sold, and they said the number that he could have possibly got was $178 million. Ooh-wee, but a lot of people saying $40 million. You know what I mean? But regardless, whether it's 40 or 178, bro, that's a fucking L. That's a serious L, man. That's a serious L. Tank already won, and I can confirm. Bella, are you an insider at the Mazuma TV Awards? Let me know. Say no, I'm just playing. Yeah, I think Tank is a shoo-in for the crash out of the year. Absolutely. Absolutely. T.O. an honorable mention. Teofimo Lopez crashing out over that Devin Haney situation, looking like a pure duck. You know, he's like third place in that category. Keyshawn number 2. Tank takes that number 1 spot. Cause it's not like Keyshawn fumbled 40 million. He fucked up a a homecoming event for sure. You know what I mean? A good fight with De Los Santos that I thought he was gonna win. As drained as Edwin De Los Santos looked, he looked like a dead man on that scale. I thought Keyshawn was really gonna get rid of him. But Tank, that boy fumbled a 8 to 9 figure check because he can't keep his hands off a woman. Woo-wee. Woo-wee. Oh my God. That's a super bad John, y'all. Super bad John. For those of y'all who just joined in, though, man, I made the announcement earlier on the live. So if y'all didn't check out the early announcement, I'm gonna be having Bruce Shoo Carrington, the WBC interim champion at 126 pounds, checking in with the channel. We're gonna be getting a good interview going on Tuesday. So that'll be November 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, man. So if y'all are available, if y'all are around, please turn y'all bell notifications on so you'll be knowing when I go live. I'm going to have everybody, if you send super chats, you know what I mean? The questions will be answered. We're going to be on there for about a half hour. You feel what I'm saying? So we're going to get started right away. So be there, man. Be there or be squared, man. We stepping up. We stepping up the interviews a little bit. It's getting bigger and bigger each time. We had Tito Mercado the last time, upcoming 140-pound contender. We got a WBC interim champ. Shit, the next one might just actually be a world champion. Might just be, one of the top guys. Might be somebody on the pound for pound list. Who knows? You feel what I'm saying? So check out my interview with Bruce Carrington. That's going to be coming up, Tuesday afternoon, man. Please be there, man. I appreciate it if everybody in the nation come through and show love. You feel what I mean? And Bruce Carrington actually reposted it on his Instagram story as well. So please go check it out. It's on, it's lit, it's popping. My boy Marky Dan in the building. He said Tank is a no good delinquent. I know that's right. I know that's right. Absolutely astonishing that Tank is so in control of himself and his emotions. Especially with women, bro. It's like, nigga. The last thing I'll be worried about, listen, if you got a wife at home, you got a girlfriend at home that you committed to and all that, I understand. You got kids with the woman, I can understand how I could get heated. But let me tell y'all something, man. With that type of money, the last thing you should be worried about is a bitch. Be worried about your kids, you know what I mean, the immediate family. But a bitch? Never. I would act like bitches wouldn't exist until I get the bag. What the fuck? Nigga, what? Fuck, I look like choking a bitch up at a club when I got $40 to $170 million on the line. Nigga, is you crazy? You crazy, nigga? With that type of money, I could build 50 bitches that look just like her. What the hell the fuck is we on? What the hell is we doing out here in these streets, man? Absolutely ridiculous. His pop should have put the drugs down to let us educate his son. You know what I'm saying? All he had to do was stay home. I know, Marlon. That's a fact. I swear to God, I wouldn't even be home. I'm doing my training camp in Antarctica. I'm doing it somewhere where you can't even run into a woman. If I had issues like that, I never had them type issues. Never. You ain't never gonna catch me outside, gripping up a woman. None of that. None of that. I've been lied on. That's for sure. You can ask any woman I've ever been with if I've ever done that. Never. You would never hear that out their mouth. You think Tank fighting next year? I think Tank need to go ahead and retire. Zuma, shut up. Antarctica. I'm exaggerating, obviously, Bella, but what I'm trying to tell you is, with that type of money, I would never, you wouldn't see me, bro. You wouldn't see me. You want to see me before I got that bag? You want to see me after I got that bag? Fuck, I look like jeopardizing that over some pussy. You crazy? You out your motherfucking mind. Shit. I done got out a bitch's way for less money than that. Bet Faniel tripping. He called this nigga Tanky Wanky. He said wouldn't it be even better if Tank gets stripped of his belt? That should have been happened. That should have been happened. As soon as Tank made it clear that he not fighting nobody and he retiring next year and all that, man, the WBA is so motherfucking greedy, bro. It's just like, bro, let that belt go, bro. Take that belt off that man. It's like y'all just waiting for this. You just waiting for this dude to show y'all some type of respect, bro. He done told y'all he don't give a fuck about belts. So why y'all giving it to him? Is y'all that desperate for a check? Y'all willing to take disrespect in order to get a little percentage of this dude check? Man, stop it, bro. Stop it. Go ahead, vacate the title. Go ahead, Floyd Schofield or whoever the hell, him versus Lucas Body, whatever. Had them fight for the belt. Have a new champion because at least, it might not be, as much money as you will get off a Tank's check, but goddamn, at least he'll be more active. At least he'll be making some meaningful fights happen in the division. What is we doing? What is we doing, bro? He don't want to give us none of the fights we want to see. They don't be giving this dude no mandatories whatsoever. They scared to give Tank a mandatory. They scared to give Tank a mandatory, bro. Bethan, you in the building. What up? He said what's funny is the only reason he got that WBA belt was because Haney moved up and vacated all the belts. That's a fact. You know what you talking about, brother? Because he took like Rolly's WBA regular title or some shit like that. Rolly had like the WBA regular. Tank beat Rolly. You know what I mean? Got that belt up off of him. Haney vacated shortly after that fight. He gets elevated to the full status champ. They definitely hungry. That brother's starving. The WBA, they starving, bro. They be wanting every dollar, and I get it. You know what I mean? Get your money. You know what I mean? Get your money. But it's like, get your money the right way, too. It's like, y'all, we need to start making it cool to, get your bag and still obtain some type of, morals. Have some type of standards. You know what I mean? Have some boundaries with these guys, man. I mean, it seemed like in the IBF, they be having they fucked up ways, too. But it's like, at least the IBF, be all right with stripping niggas. At least y'all, they be actually trying to get guys to have mandatories and shit like that. Even if it's the mandatories, we don't really care for or don't want. At least they standing on some type of business, bro. These other sanctioning bodies, bro, like WBA, they just be making dudes super champs to avoid mandatories and, you know what I mean? WBC letting motherfuckers hold the belt for however long they want, and they not mandating these certain WBC fighters to face their mandatories. With the WBO, I don't know what the WBO be doing for real. But noticing, it's quite noticeable that the WBO be giving a lot of opportunities to top-ranked fighters. Yeah. We be crooks. Canelo belt for real. Yeah. What Bob orders, that's what WBO stands for. That's hilarious. Anonymous said the IBF actually follows and upholds the system. Yeah. I wish the other sanctioning bodies did that. If they did, things would have went a lot smoother, man. Are they arguing outside again? My girl here gave me some cheesesteak egg rolls. Some cheesesteak egg rolls. See this shit. Okay. That's not bad. That's not bad, brothers and sisters. Nathaniel says, I have a great idea. Strip Tank of belt, make Floyd versus Body for the vacant WBA title near summertime. I like that. I like that. That'll give Floyd time to, run that shit back with JoJo Diaz. You know what I mean? Fight for that world title in the summer, man. Come on, bro. It's like we like seeing guys become world champion and shit like that, but there's obligations that come with it, man. It's either you fight the dudes that's in your ranking system, or you go ahead and you face the other champions, bro. It's like, how hard is that? You feel what I mean? And if they're not upholding their obligations as a champion, why are you keeping these belts on them? There's no other reason besides money. And if money is your main motivation throughout this thing, do y'all really have boxing's best interest? If it's all about money for y'all, for these sanctioning bodies, what's the point? I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna even go this far. What's the point of having a ranking system if you're not even having these guys face dudes that's in this ranking system? What's the point of having a ranking system if you're not making the number one guy in the ranking system? They're mandatory. Just throw the whole fucking ranking away. Just throw it away. It's ridiculous, bro. The WBA is all about popularity. I knew that as soon as they made that super champ shit. As soon as I seen that Keith Thurman had like the WBA title, I think he had he had one form of the WBA, right? Floyd had the title. So to avoid giving Floyd, to avoid having Floyd have Keith Thurman as his mandatory, they elevate him to super champion. Super champion is, oh, you don't have no mandatories. You can basically move however the fuck you want. Keith Thurman moves up to full status WBA champion. It's like, what? If that don't tell you that it's a popularity contest for the WBA, I don't know what would. For all that, get rid of your ranking system. So Floyd has the WBA super title. Keith Thurman had the full status title. So to keep Floyd money coming in your accounts, y'all gave him a title that's basically meaningless. Because what the fuck is a champion if you don't have mandatory? It's like, bro, we just gonna give you this. We gonna give you this lifetime belt. We're gonna give you this lifetime belt so you can keep paying us, and then we're gonna have an actual champion fight his fight his mandatories and shit like that. So they gave Keith Thurman all the tough work and was like, Floyd, just go ahead and take this super title and enjoy your time, brother. Just keep giving us our little 3% every time you fight. It's all good. Like, nigga, what? Insane. ETC Boxing in the building. He said WBA be on bullshit. When Pacquiao and Thurman fought, they were both a form of the WBA champ. Yeah. So what was Keith? Keith got elevated to super champ or some shit like that. And what Pacquiao had, I'm confused. Hold on, let me look at that. Can't even see it on BoxRec no more because the WBA don't even got that belt listed on their page. And Wikipedia got it wrong because they saying that's for the WBA Super Welterweight Championship. Oh no, the WBA Super title. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Manny had the regular. He had the WBA regular, which is apparently the belt, and then Keith Thurman was the super champion. Whatever, bro. It's like what the fuck, like. And then I guess when Pacquiao beat Thurman, he became the WBA super champion. Okay. So then I guess when your Dennis Ugas beat him, he was the WBA super champion. Then Earl beat him. Okay. I get it. Yeah, shit is super confusing, bro. My thing is shit shouldn't be that confusing. I understand. Marcus Conor Ben Rosa. Let's go ahead and put him in timeout. This nigga told me my middle name is Conor Ben. This nigga out his rabbit ass mind. Had to pack in for that. Slime don't learn. He hard headed. Slime low key like my son. Cause my son will go and he be touching shit. And I'm like, bro, stop touching shit, bro. And he'll look at me, he wait for me to look away, and he go touch it again. And I'm watching him. I'm like, yo, didn't I just tell you that he run away and shit? That's slime. Slime gotta be slime just like Micah. He like to push buttons. We ain't about to be playing with that. Put you in timeout just like how I do my son, nigga. Come back a better man. You out your goofy ass mind. Shout out to the 30 people that's in the building. For those of y'all who don't know, I'm gonna make the announcement one more again. Bruce Shoo Carrington will be coming on the channel. He will be coming through for Mazuma TV sit down Tuesday, November 18th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You feel what I'm saying? So come through, show love, hit the like button, ask y'all questions, man. We only gonna be on for a half hour, so we got to get these questions up out of the way. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna have that many questions for him. You feel me? So, but I'm gonna make sure that the questions that I do ask count. You know what I mean? Anonymous. We're gonna ask about that Carlos Castro situation. We're gonna be asking about the guy that had been calling out saying that Bruce Carrington turned him down. We're gonna talk about the Suleiman Sagawa fight. We're gonna talk about his latest fight with his name was Matis. What was that guy's name that he I can't pronounce his name. Bruce Carrington's last opponent. His name is Mattis Hita. I can't pronounce dude name. I gotta go listen to it. But phenomenal. In my personal opinion, looking over Bruce Carrington's career, that was like his most polished performance. You know what I mean? I like what he brought to that table. He was boxing really well and damn near had a shutout on that fight. It was just absolute outclassing. I loved it. So we definitely gonna be talking about all of that, what his intentions are since he's WBC interim champ. You know, Bruce Carrington might be in a good situation where, you know, Stephen Fulton, if he beats Oshaki, he might vacate that title at 126. You know what I mean? That could leave Bruce Carrington available for a vacant title, and that could get him, you know, started at 126 as a legit champion. Then he got people, you know, within his stable. Rafael Espinoza just beat the shit out of Arnold Kegai, whatever his name is. You know, and there's other people that he could face as well. So, you know, Bruce Carrington, his opportunity is definitely coming for sure. Anonymous said we should ask about 132. He's a big 126. Does he think he'll ever move up? Based on how the way he's looked at some weigh-ins, I think a move up to 130 is inevitable in my opinion. But you know, I'll definitely ask him that. Do we got any last questions before we get up out of here? I mean, in terms, the one topic I didn't address yet that was in the video title is the Jake Paul possible fight update. I do think Jake Paul has something that's, you know, in the mix, something that's solidified or, you know, at least in the process of being done. And it happens to, and the reason why I say that is because Jake Paul just put out a post and he said like, ha, 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 ha. So it sounds like he knows some shit. Sound like he knows some shit, y'all. Nothing really much to hear. Nothing much he's really say. Just put like ha ha ha, like pretty much like gotcha. Like I got something going on right now. I'm laughing at y'all. Y'all said I wouldn't do this, and I'm gonna do it, so I'm laughing at y'all. Maybe it's a possibility he just locked in an Anthony Joshua fight. You know what I mean? A Francis Ngannou fight, something. Francis Ngannou should have jumped at that situation, man. Francis Ngannou should have jumped on that situation and facing Jake Paul. Should have really called Jake Paul's bluff, to be honest. That'd have been some easy money. I'd have been happy to see Ngannou at least get one win in boxing. Shit. Lost to Fury in a close one. And fucking got put to bed by Anthony Joshua. It's like, should have took that, bro. You had you had what it took to knock Jake Paul out, too. You punch hard enough. Should have definitely took that opportunity. Yeah, because and Ralph, I say that he looked crazy on the scale. Bruce looked crazy on the scale a couple times that I've seen him because he's already naturally a skinny dude. Like you don't really see Shushu blow up or look all fat like Broner and Tank used to back in the day. You know what I mean? Like he's a naturally skinny dude, so to see him lose even more water, it's like it don't look that comfortable, man. Bellaface said the 126 champs need to go ahead and unify. They all want the NUA fight. Right. I've noticed that too. You know, Stephen Fulton, he said he was open to that NUA rematch. That's a fight that he won bad. I'm sure they all want that. And I understand because if you're keeping it real, NUA, he the money man in them smaller weight classes. Ain't nobody being really spoken about like NUA. But the thing is, now you on NUA, he on a crash course to face Junto Nakatani. So I don't know if them dudes, I don't know what these dudes waiting around for. I agree with you, Bella. They just need to go ahead and fight each other. And it'll help them out in the long run because as long as you winning these fights and you unifying, you coming to the table with NUA, even though you may not be the A side, you got more bargaining chips. Like, look, bro, I got 2 of the major titles. I got 3 of the titles. Like, show me the money. They was really thinking business. They were like, all right, let me put myself in a power position. You feel me? Only way you're going to do that against NUA, you got to have the belts. If you got one, dickheads really be racing. That's why they crashed and banged out the other day. Fucking idiots, bro. T says I don't think Shushu beats Espinoza. That's a tough one, man. That's definitely a tough one. But look, Shushu believe in himself. I just seen Shushu put out a post either yesterday or today. He was like, "Yeah, I was watching that Espinoza fight, and the whole time I was thinking I could beat him." It all starts in the mind before it becomes reality. You know, like Bud believed he could beat Bud. Bud believed he could beat Canelo before he beat Canelo. It all starts up here. And, if you're capable of executing, it's a good situation. Them SRTs definitely be on my block. They be racing. Oh, crazy. Shot the fuck up. Anyway, definitely ain't looking your way without that belt. That's a fact. Anyway, chasing titles. You can tell he legacy driven. He really be looking for anybody, for real, for real. Anyway, be like, bro, I'll fight any and everybody. Like, I'll go ahead and face the top contender. You know what I mean? I'll take this motherfucker as a warm-up fight, then I'll fight this champion. It's like, anyway, is on a fucking crazy run right now. On a crazy run. He taking them as they show up. Like, oh, you want this fade? You want this fade? All right, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to get all of them. Get all of them. I need all them fades. You feel me? So how many fades is there? All right, one by one, we gonna get you up out of here. That's what anyway been on in them smaller weights, man. We gotta see how he do against Junto, because Junto nasty, bro. He could fight his ass off. Precise, punches very hard. Got boxing ability too. That's gonna be a great chess match. a great chess match, bro, against two boxer punchers. But I never been hit by neither one of them. But like Junto looked like he got more pop behind his shit. Anyway could put you out to the head or the body. But I feel like as he's moving up in weight, he got to put them together a little bit more in order to get them done. Junto just seemed like if he catch you on the spot with one good John, it's lights out. And I don't know if it's because he got like that taller, more wiry frame, but Junto will make you pay for real. You feel me? So that's a great. I think that's a fact that people should be talking about more often. We're talking about Shakur, cool. We're talking about Devin Tank and Canelo Benavidez. All these big fights that people want. You know what I'm saying? Inoue and Junto should be at the top of the list because it's on mine. Yo, Junto versus Maloney, I watched that live. That was ugly, man. That was ugly. Looked like he almost like, I don't want to sound insensitive or anything like that, but it looked like he was on the cusp of sending that dude to the morgue, man. Like, who knows what would have happened if he had a little bit more time in the ring with him? Who knows what would have happened if he had a few more moments in that ring with him? Because the way that he finished Maloney is like Maloney looked like his soul left his body, cuz. Seriously. Do I have any upsets on November 22nd? Let's run it down. I think Abdullah Mason beats Sam Noakes as long as he fights discipline. As long as he keep that lead hand on him, use some good, get some movement, stay up off them ropes, keep it in the center of the ring, keep them straight shots on him, not allowing Sam Noakes to close that gap. He can outbox him, punish him, possibly stop him late. I got Abdullah Mason winning that one. I got Bam. Beating his opponent. I watched a little bit of his opponent. I forgot his fucking name. I was watching him a little bit. I think Bam has his way with him. Pause. I know it better be if not fight on the card no more. So who else we got? We got Devin Haney Norman. Devin Haney Norman. I got Devin Haney outboxing Brian Norman. You know what I'm saying? I'm really looking forward to that fight because a lot of people are picking Puma. Sorry about that. Oh shit, Islam came back a better man. That's what's up. I got Bam, I got Mason, I got Devin outboxing Brian Norman. Because I'm gonna tell y'all what, a lot of people is picking Brian Norman. A lot of people doubting Devin Haney in this joint, man. Devin Haney looks well prepared. He's looking very confident. You know what I'm saying? Now how he performs is gonna be different. Can Brian Norman beat Devin Haney? Absolutely. But it's almost like Brian Norman's the favorite. What's the betting odds for Norman and Haney? Is Brian Norman the favorite? Because if he is, it's some money that can be made, man. Yeah, a lot of people doubting Dev, bro. All of a sudden, Brian Norman put Jen Sasaki to sleep, and all of a sudden, this motherfucker is the new Deontay Wilder. Like, he just devastating punch. And no, look, Brian Norman could crack. But it's to the point now where people talking about it don't matter what Devin Haney do. As soon as he get touched, it's like, come on, bro. Like, you knocked out Jen Sasaki, you stopped these dudes. But he ain't ever knock out nobody on the level of Devin Haney. Not saying that he can't, but he hasn't shown you that. You feel what I'm saying? I think Devin Haney's going to give him a lot of trouble with the jab. I think Brian Norman's going to be, lunging in with shots. I think Devin Haney's going to be countering him. I think he's going to be turning Norman. Norman going through his thing. Like, he's going to have some moment. He might even hurt Devin. He might. You know what I mean? He got the athleticism. He got the quickness. He got the explosiveness. He got hand speed. But I don't know how that translates with somebody with the experience of a Devin Haney. I don't. Norman's a minus 130 favorite on FanDuel. And what's Dev? He said Devin give me Mickey Bay vibes. It's probably because Mickey Bay's been training. Plus 100. Them odds are pretty close, man. Them odds are pretty close. So that lets you know the odds. The motherfucker, whoever made the odds, they not sure of what's gonna happen in this fight. To be real, like I'm picking Dev, but I don't know. I've been thinking more about the idea of Brian Norman winning, but I'm gonna stick with Dev. I'm gonna stick with Dev. Now that's a situation that I'm not too confident on. Like I'm not full on confident. But if Devin Haney outboxes him, outclasses him, I wouldn't be surprised because everybody keep talking about how Brian Norman got better, and he may very possibly has. You know what I'm saying? But where I'm coming from is, since he fought that fight against that boxer, I forgot his name, man. I don't know if it's because I'm tired or what. My memory has a tough time remembering shit when I'm tired. You feel me? But we haven't seen Brian Norman fight somebody on the caliber of a Quentin Randall or a style like Quentin Randall since then. You know what I mean? Since defeating Quentin Randall, I think Top Rank saw some flaws in Brian Norman, so they went ahead and continuously put people in front of Brian Norman who's going to stand in front of him. Show me a style. Quentin Randall was probably his least impressive performance, right? I think that's safe to say. But since then, since the Quentin Randall fight, he has not fought anybody that boxes like Quentin Randall or has the boxing ability, the athleticism of Quentin Randall. Devin Haney is that, but he's an even more experienced guy. Next Gen says, even Quentin Randall, though as ugly as it was easily, still won 7 to 8 rounds out of 10. Okay, that's Quentin Randall though, brother. You still had difficulties. There was difficulties in the ring that Brian Norman showed that I'm like, Dev could make you pay for that. So even though you may have won this fight convincingly, that doesn't necessarily mean that you had an easy time doing so. That doesn't mean that some things were exposed about you. You won 7 to 8 rounds, but motherfuckers might have created a whole game plan around them 10 rounds that you had with Quentin Randall. You gotta look at these things, man. And I think Devin Haney's team saw that. I think that's why they, jumped at the opportunity to fight Brian. Or they're like, oh, this motherfucker can't. They probably feel like, oh, this motherfucker can't box. He's not a better boxer than me. I can outbox him. That's probably what they see, and that's what they're gonna try to attempt. Like I said, I'm picking Devin Haney. But Brian Norman could very possibly prove me wrong. That's the one that out of all the fights that I've mentioned, that's the fight I'm the least confident in. I'm going to say that. Billy said the Devin that fought Loma and Regis is gone. You don't know that, brother. That's how you feel. That's how you feel. But you don't know that. You don't know that for a fact. So the Eagles won 16 to 9. Another low-scoring game for the Eagles. If Devin Haney stops Brian Norman, I'm going to go skydiving when you hit 4K. What the fuck? Yo. David Benavidez is a minus 900 favorite to win. I definitely got David Benavidez stopping Anthony Yard. I can see Anthony Yard landing some good counters on, David in the beginning and showing a good jab and all that. But I think the moment that Anthony Yard takes a step backwards, I think he's cooked. I think Anthony Yard is going to have a tough time with David Benavidez's jab. When he gets moved backwards, the speed, the combinations, the counters. And the thing about David Benavidez, he counters in combinations too. He doesn't get tired. Anthony Yard gets tired as the rounds go on. He gets weaker. David Benavidez either maintains his strength or he gets stronger as the rounds go on, depending on the situation. My fault, yeah. I don't know what that was. My fault, yeah. I don't know what that was. But next Jeff said Norman could definitely box with Haney if he keeps it mid range. I think his jab heavier if he trades jabs. I think he'll come out on the better end. I think that'd be pretty dumb to box Haney at mid range because all you're doing is leaving yourself susceptible for Devin Haney's jab. If Brian Norman has a longer reach than Devin Haney, that his best, unless he wanted to bring the fight on the inside, I don't think mid range will be the best opportunity. I don't think that'll be his best situation. If you want to if you want to jab him, if you want to keep, then make it an outside fight because you have the, the reach and you have the advantage in the reach department. But to be honest, I think Brian Norman's success is going to be fighting Dev on the inside because believe it or not, Dev don't really got an inside game. Like he could counter you with some shots while you're trying to come inside. Like with Lomachenko, he played some good body shots while he was coming in. But like overall, like inside game, Dev don't got that, bro. Not at a high level. Devin's bread and butter is his jab, his hand speed and his foot speed. Making it an inside fight. See, this is what I think Brian Norman needs to do. I don't think boxing at mid-range is it. Because, Brian Norman doesn't have the best defense. He doesn't have the best head movement. So if you're fighting Devin Haney at long range, you're going to get picked off. That's just me. Brian Norman needs to, from the very beginning, he needs to make deposits to that body. He needs to make deposits to this body. I don't give a fuck if y'all in the clinch. I don't give a fuck if you on the inside. You need to find your way to the body. You feel what I'm saying? You need to come in behind your jab, the jab that you have the reach advantage in. You know what I mean? Get off that jab, rip to the body. Even if you're touching the elbows, even if you're touching the shoulders, you need to be making deposits to the body early. You need to take the legs away from Devin Haney. If you're able to make Devin Haney a sit and duck where he has no other choice, but to sit there and bang with you, your chances of getting a knockout increase significantly. Nigga, you think Brian Norman's team don't know that already? He a coach, right? Brian Norman Sr., his coach. He don't need a game plan from me. He know that already. Because anybody that coaches and knows boxing, they know what to do. I think Brian Norman needs to cut off that ring. You know what I mean? Whatever direction, Devin Haney's trying to go to, he got to put that forearm in his chest. He need to rip that body. He definitely got to get a bit physical in there. You know what I'm saying? He got to, who said he got to make the fight dirty? Who said that? Bellaface said that Brian Norman got to make this fight dirty. Yeah, because I think if it's a little chess match or a little cute fight, I guess you would say, that's going to benefit Dev. No, you want to make this a dog fight, cuz. Southwest Dice in the building. He says, film shows Norman is a rookie. Like headbutts, lunging, no head movement. Basically, people saying what they hope Norman does. Hope doesn't win. Skills do. I agree with you 1,000%. And the skills department is exactly why I'm picking Dev. But there is some questions around Dev, unfortunately. With the Jose Ramirez situation, a lot of people was questioning whether Devin Haney was, scared to get hit, whatever the case is. You know what I'm saying? He might not be, he may not be willing to really commit the shots because he's gonna be worried about Brian Norman's counters. Because Brian Norman is a phenomenal counterpuncher and he has a great sense of timing. There's some things that Brian Norman has on his part that can make this difficult. But like I said, since the Quentin Randall fight, he hasn't faced a style, remotely near Devin Haney. Brian Norman has been giving dudes who sit directly in front of him and want to go band for band with him. Devin Haney's not going to go band for band with him. He knows that's not his game. He's smart enough to understand that if I take this route, it could be a long night or a short night. Either way, it's not ideal for Devin Haney. You feel me? So this ain't me giving out no game plan, Islam. That's stuff that they should already know. They should know to do that. They should know to do that. You feel me? But Brian Norman does make some mistakes that Devin Haney could capitalize off of. He has a lack of defense. He gets hit quite easily. Brian Norman, no disrespect. He gets hit quite easily. He's been dropped with straight shots. Devin Haney specializes in straight shots. Brian Norman, whenever he has trouble finding range, he lunges into punches and leaves himself susceptible to counters. You know what I'm saying? If you're having trouble keeping your head off the center line, you're going to be a sucker for Devin Haney's jab. That's my thing. And everybody keep talking about Brian Norman's reach advantage. It ain't like he going to be the first one to the jab each time. You know what I'm saying? Just because you got the longer reach don't mean you're going to have a better jab. This is coming from somebody who's historically had short arms. And I out-jabbed a lot of people that was taller than me. You having the longer reach does not mean you had a better jab. But Brian Norman, he definitely going to have to pick them feet up. He's going to have to be cutting off them rings, getting a little bit physical on the inside, making Dev uncomfortable, play some good body shots. You want to see exactly how much shape he is in the welterweight division. He didn't have to cut too much. He didn't have to train. I'm sure he had to train hard, but not as hard, to get them additional pounds off. He's comfortable here. He got a lot of water in his system, just based off of what I'm seeing, with the week away, being a week away from the fight. Touch that body. Let's see how great of shape he's in. If he's in great shape, he'll be able to take them body shots. But if he's not, he'll break down and that'll leave him, a little less mobile, and that gives you more opportunities to do your thing as a power puncher and a counter puncher. So, yeah. Norman never been 12 rounds. That's a great point. That's a great point. How do we know Norman's conditioning could last for 12 rounds? We don't know that. He's had 3 12-rounders, and they all been stopped. He made it to 10 with Giovanni Santillan, whatever you want to call him. He still looked like he was in great shape in the 10th round going in there with Giovanni. But he's never been 12 rounds. So very, very, that's a great point. He's had 3 scheduled 12-rounders, and neither one of them have been the distance. But those guys are guys who stood right in front of him and tried to step to him. Marcus, Austin, Trout, Rosa. Why you don't learn? Why you get a thrill out of fucking with people, man? Norman is lazy, box to his right. If he's lazy boxing to his right, then that'll make him a sucker even more for Devin Haney's jab. If he's going to his right, he's going to Devin's lead hand. So that won't be too good. Do I see anyone beating Espinoza? At 126, NUA will probably be the best one, in my opinion. Outer Powell said, what did Tim Bradley say? He said Norman needs to put oil grease or what? I think he said petroleum jelly on his gloves because Haney going to be holding, clenching, He's going to have to slip away. He said that he used to put petroleum jelly underneath his arms so that when people try to clinch him, they'll slip off of him. Now, that is against the rules. So I'm going to just say that. Like, I've seen people get in trouble for rubbing Vaseline on fighters' bodies and shit like that. So do it at your discretion. Just make sure you're not getting caught while you're doing it, because that is against the rules. And most state athletic commissions, I'm going to say that. Marlon said, Tim also said Dev is going to sleep. Tim say a lot of shit. Like I said before, this motherfucker, Tim, he'll come up with 4 different predictions, and when one of them happens, he'll be like, see, I told y'all. It's like, nigga. He'll be like, yeah, Joseph Parker going to sleep. You know, Fabio going, not put Joseph Parker to sleep, man. I've been watching film, man. Yeah. They be like, Joseph Parker is going to absolutely cook this dude, Fabio. Joseph Parker might drop Fabio with a right hand. I think there's going to be a draw, y'all. It's like, this motherfucker hitting this, bro. What's the point of making a prediction? Part of having a prediction is just being bold with who you pick, right? It's like, yeah, I mean, I'm going for this. And if you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. If you're wrong, you're wrong. This motherfucker covering. He covering the whole sky. He covering the whole sky. That's like you having a multiple choice and you filling A, B, C, and D. And none of them is all the above. No, you got to pick one, sir. You got to pick one. What do you think is going to happen? A, Haney by decision. B, Haney by knockout. C, draw. D, Brian Norman by knockout. E, Brian Norman by decision. Man, Tim gonna be stressing. He gonna circle every single one of them Jones. Gotta pick one, brother. That's the point of having a prediction. Having one pick and sticking to it. Should put a poll up for this fight. I'm gonna do that later this week, brother. Probably do that on Friday. Actually, I won't be on live Friday because I'll be at my amateur show. So I won't be on live Friday. I'll do that Thursday. Tim gonna pick all the above. Facts. Slime says, this nigga said Brain Norman. Who the fuck is Brain Norman? Versus Devin should have honestly been the main event, to be honest. I agree. But maybe Turkey making him the main event because Turkey is probably trying to set up either a fight with Beterbiev or Bivol. He probably just trying to put David in the spotlight so, you know, they could set up a fight for Undisputed at light heavy. Or at least the winner of Benavidez and Beterbiev faces Bivol. Who knows? Out of Powell, what part of Texas you in? And what you mean 5 p.m. or a.m.? Bully says, Mazuma, remember I told you Ryan is Devin's kryptonic. I don't remember that, but I've heard somebody say that before. I don't know if that was you. He said, everyone keeps saying that, but let's be honest, only because of Devin's last performance. I agree. It's the more intriguing fight, but it was pretty clear they made Benavidez yard. Are you from Houston? Shout out to Houston, man. I've been meeting a lot of people from Houston. I got this guy that I'm possibly gonna make his amateur debut in 2026. His name is Keon. Well, that's his name is short. He Nigerian, so his name mad long. But for short, it's Keon. He from Houston. He moved to Philly. Then I had this kid come. He had 3 amateur fights from Houston. He came to Philly to spar. Then I had this customer at my other job that I've been working with. He's from Houston. So I've been meeting a lot of people from Texas. So shout out to Texas. I don't know the time difference between Texas and Philly. It's probably an hour. I don't know. This nigga said Keyshawn Davis. This nigga. But anyways, man, I'm gonna get up out of here, man. I appreciate everybody that came through and show love as always. I will stay on the live longer, but like I said, I do have obligations that I have to get into early this morning, so I want to go ahead and take care of that. And I want to be well rested for that situation, man. So I would like to thank everybody that came through and showed love. Shout out to the 40 people that's in the building. If y'all could go ahead and hit the like button on the way out, that'd be very much appreciated. We on the road to 4K. Well into the 3,200 mark, about to hit the 3,300 mark in due time. Shout out to the nation and the mob for making this possible. Tuesday, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to be having Bruce Shushu Carrington on the channel. Another Mazuma TV sit down, man. I'm preparing really well for this interview. Please come by, show love. You feel what I'm saying? But until then, hope you guys have a blessed, beautiful one. I'm up out of here, man. Peace.